I'm lost in darkness, searching for light. Every step forward feels like a fight. Shadows of doubt creep in my mind, but I refuse to surrender. I must find a way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. The weight of the world crushes me down. Fear and uncertainty all around. But I deep find inner strength and face the trials length by length. A way to rise above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes, like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my heart reborn. I've walked through fire and emerged scarred, but wiser, stronger, and unmarred. My existence is a test of will, of trials overcome, of a soul made bold. The weight of the world above the pain, to overcome, to break the chains. My existence is a test of will. I won't be broken, I'll stand still. Ooh, made bold. Through every storm, I'll find my way. Through every night, a brighter day. I'll rise from ashes like a phoenix born. My spirit unbroken, my spirit unborn.
Usually there's music. The last one has music.
All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come
Really?
unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape.
Oh well, now the video is like I can hear the video, but
Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT Post-Show Rewind for January the 7th, 2025. It is New Year's Eve. I am Tyler, the Pro Wrestling Hipster. This is Molly Holly, the long-haired Chihuahua, and I am here joined by
CJ Carter. I couldn't actually find my camera tonight, so that's why I'm without a moving face.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're not a man without a face. You are a man with a still face. So, it's just, people can just imagine that it's, the era of the 28K internet. And, you're just very slow moving. I'll hold very still tonight so you don't feel alone.
I wish there was a way for me to edit my avatar to just do that, like, Canadian South Park thing.
Oh my
where
God.
the head just bobbles around,
That
but
would be
the mouth is just a complete line across my face.
That would be fantastic. Oh man, we need to get that done. But guys, we're not here to talk about animations and Canadian stereotypes tonight. We're here to talk about NXT New Year's Evil. But before we can get into all the fun tonight, I do have to give that shout out to our partner on the web, comicbookclick.com. That's comicbookclick.com/Dirt Sheet Radio for all of your comic book, pop culture, entertainment, professional wrestling needs, all in one convenient place. Make it your homepage and check it out multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated to do so, but because we love to do it. But guys, we are here to talk about NXT, the first show of the new year for the developmental brand, and what a kickoff to the new year it was. CJ, you want to start with the main event, or sort of the beginning of the show this evening?
Well, I mean, we do see kind of a through thread plot line with The Rock kind of throughout the show. So, but at the same time, that was really just a nothing burger of a promo
Yeah.
that we could get it out of the way now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this first, and then that way we can end on a match tonight. The Rock, that promo could be titled "The Rock takes up 6 minutes and 56 seconds of your time."
It started at 10. He, like, when the guy tossed the mic to The Rock, I saw him hold up a 10, and I looked at my clock, and sure enough, it was 8:50. So I was like, all right, well, 10 minutes of a Rock promo. Let's see what he's got. And I swear,
Not much.
half the time he was talking about how much time he had left. You wouldn't have to worry about that as much if you were actually saying something.
You know, when we'll kind of talk about it as we go through, but earlier in the night, he did tell his eldest child, GM of NXT Ava, he did tell her that he didn't really know what he was going to say or what to say. And I thought that was, an exaggeration, just like, The Rock pretending to be a little nervous to be in a new place. But no, Dwayne really had no clue what he was going to say out there tonight. And man, it showed. I was really just waiting for Ethan Page to interrupt him.
Well, and that would have been great. We'll talk about an interaction they had backstage a little bit later in the show, but there was the in this promo, I just first of all, the man needs to stop swearing so much because
network television.
Yeah,
this ain't Netflix.
Well, it is Netflix though. Like,
well, okay, for me, it's not. It's the C. It's the. I was about to say the WWWWB. Hasn't been the WB for a long time. It's the CW.
Okay, but that does unlock a core memory, and it warms my heart. So thank you for that on this minus 26 degrees Celsius night. But yeah, I think that The Rock was just kind of rambling and thinking, oh, well, fuck it, I'm The Rock, who cares? And then someone had to tell him, no, we actually don't have any overrun time. So you got to do something. So just ramble and say nothing was essentially the choice that he made.
And Mac, you're not wrong about that.
No, not at all.
I'm probably one of the few people that has never been a huge Rock guy over the years, but that's a rant and a diatribe for another day. But yeah, this really, there wasn't much to this. I expected. Okay, I'm not going to say that I expected something of substance from this, because I really didn't expect something of substance. I expected an interaction with the wrestler and for him to talk somebody down and hit them or something. This it was really like they could have used this time better tonight. Like I get it. You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe The Rock being advertised for this did bring more people in, some extra eyes, but those extra eyes weren't given anything special from The Rock. If those extra eyes were there for the entirety of the show, they had a great show and, really got to see what NXT is all about. And hopefully that would be enough of a hook to bring them back. But, if you tuned in just to see what The Rock was going to do tonight, you probably weren't super thrilled with what happened.
Well, and I mean, even right near the end of the promo where he's talking about the fans, it doesn't matter if you boo or you cheer, What matters is you react. Well, motherfucker, it's gonna be one or the other.
Well, it could.
Like, he's basically just saying, don't
Don't be quiet.
stonewall them. Yeah. But yeah, they're gonna do that if they don't like something. That's how they vocalize. You
Right.
have to cheer for the faces, you have to boo the heels. You can't boo because you hate something. Because then that kind of can send a mixed message in an industry where that's the reaction they want you to have,
Right.
because that's what presents well on TV,
Mhm.
not because they're like, oh, you genuinely hate what's happening.
Right. Oh man, yeah. So I mean, again, like it was a fun end, I guess, to the first show of the year. But I feel like they could have done something better with it, or just used the time in a better way. Um, but yeah. So that was the ending segment. CJ, before we hop around to the start of the show, anything else on the Rock's shallow promo? We'll say.
Wonder if he'll show up on SmackDown on Friday and finish out the week.
I don't see why not. Hell, you know what? Let's get him on main event too. Why not?
Well, I mean, if they're, I mean, basically, The Rock was already in Los Angeles from being on Raw, so they're like, hell, let's throw him on NXT. If SmackDown this Friday is broadcasting from LA, then
Sure.
that's the 10th.
And I will say that is one thing that The Rock said that I do not believe at all. Where he's like, I asked to be on the show, this episode of NXT a couple months ago. It's like, no, you didn't, Rock. No, you were
Looks like
drunk last
Portland,
night on
Oregon.
Raw, and they suggested it. They're going to be where?
Portland, Oregon. So
Oh, nearby.
I don't anticipate The Rock will be there. I'm more than happy to apologize and correct myself if I'm wrong and he does show up, but they didn't advertise anything, so I'm not anticipating it.
Oh goodness. Well, all right. So let's talk about NXT from the start tonight. NXT came to us live tonight from Los Angeles, California at the Shrine Auditorium. The show opened up with Vic Joseph talking, as the wrestlers kind of came in. It was revealed that our commentary team tonight was Vic Joseph, Booker T, and Corey Graves back on the call at NXT. So a three-man booth for tonight's show. That was a lot of fun. Little extra insight from Corey. I like Corey Graves. I used to not like Corey Graves at all, and over the years, I've come to appreciate him.
I appreciate the fact that he can balance out Booker T. Like, he was able to kind of step in and be, the credible commentator to bounce off Vic Joseph.
It was nice. It's only for one night, as I understand it, right? He's not.
Darn. I wasn't sure one way or the other, so
Yeah, I thought
that's actually what I was going to ask.
Yeah, I thought that's what I'd read. I'd have to look back and try to find a little more insight on that. But I thought that's what what I'd heard read on the interwebs throughout the course of the show. But it was nice to have him back on the call here tonight. We were immediately shown a scene of Eddy Thorpe at the bottom of a stairwell, all beat up, writhing in pain. Ava approaches. Trainers are there, and she's pretty much laughing at him. Saying that she knows he's faking it. It's the same crap he pulled last time. He's like, no, I really was attacked, David. This is real. Crying wolf is Eddy Thorpe. Yeah, so
and essentially we do find out that no, he was actually attacked, but bitten once, twice shy, something. Once bitten, twice shy, I think that's the phrase.
From there, we went to our opening match tonight. Opening with a hell of a match. We had Roxanne Perez defending her NXT Women's Championship against Giulia. One fantastic match. Great way to set the tone tonight. It wasn't Roxy's night. this was it. Giulia conquering Roxanne Perez to become the new women's champion. CJ, what'd you think of the match? It being positioned as the opener and Giulia getting it done here tonight.
I thought this was an awesome match. This was, I think, the best way for Giulia to take the reins in this new era. It was a hell of a match. Like, there was a lot of heavy hitting offense. Mac posting in the comments there, Roxanne to main roster Royal Rumble. Yeah, I figure as much. You know,
It would be her third year in a row appearing anyway. So I mean, she's a shoo-in for the Rumble this year.
They kind of already set that anticipation just by having her repeatedly already. But yeah, I agree. Corey does belong on NXT. He does provide, even as someone who I wasn't sure if he followed the product in his spare time, very much came off like he did.
Yeah, I would think that Graves keeps up with everything.
Potentially,
yeah. I would.
Or
I don't
at least
know
is
why.
able to catch up in quick enough
quickly.
time.
I don't know. I feel like he's got like enough friends in enough areas of like the rosters in the company and other places as well that he probably keeps up with things fairly regularly. But yeah, it was good to have him on the call tonight. It's a little shame that it's seemingly a one night only thing, but we'll see going forward what they can.
I gotta say though, as much as I was enjoying being able to watch matches and listen to commentary, being an international viewer on Netflix on Raw last night, tonight's NXT really dicked me over. I didn't get the same picture-in-picture that they get on the CW. Instead, what I got was essentially just like shots of the NXT wrestlers, male, female. There was one during the Fatal 4-Way women's number one contender match that was just Kelani Jordan.
Oh man, so like that's wild. Like all this time, it finally gets moved over, and still no, not even picture in picture. Like that is absolutely wild.
So I'll be interested to see what they do for SmackDown. Because hey, maybe that is what they anticipated for NXT. Maybe SmackDown will get something to the level of Raw, being a parody of shows. If they do take the NXT route, I'm gonna be real mad because at least with Sportsnet, it was easier to anticipate what. Sorry, I had something, completely lost it. I was gonna give Sportsnet props, but no, can't think of it. So
that's why it stopped. Your brain will not let you do that. It won't let it happen.
Nope. Right. But yeah, the match itself, I thought was incredible. I think Giulia would also be a solid contender for the Rumble this year too.
Yeah, I could see definitely. Trick and Oba would both make sense. Trick definitely. I think Trick's main roster bound, especially having lost the title here. But we'll get into that obviously later.
Imagine the pop he'll get at the Rumble.
Oh my god, yeah, and you know what? The thing about that would be like even more fantastic is that we're not going to have Booker T shouting about.
I mean, we don't know what the Rumble commentary team is going to look like yet. For all we know, they can be like, "Oh, we're going to have all the representation," and yeah, sure, throw Booker T on for the Rumble. Why not?
Oh man, why do you put that out there?
I might.
That way. It's your fault.
I
On
didn't want to
your
put
hand.
this into the universe, and
Highlight.
thankfully, we avoided my other, karmic snafu with Penta almost joining the LWO.
Yes, they took an about face on that, thankfully. So
Which, and I mean, like, the reason that I saw online for that was essentially they didn't want to overload the Netflix card, which, okay, all right, whatever, makes sense. But they didn't keep the tag team match, they just changed it to a singles match.
yep.
So I don't know if it was because of similar comments where it was like, dude, you gotta stop putting all the Mexican luchadors in the Mexican luchador stable.
I
Like,
love-
they can do other things.
yeah.
Can
Oh,
and should. Please and thank you.
yeah. Yeah, it was a smart move for them. Really, it worked out in the better for them to do it that way. But CJ, anything else on Perez and Giulia here tonight before we move on to the next segment?
I think I'll have more to say specifically when we get to the North American number one contenders match.
All right, all right. I will say this, Roxy's reign here ended tonight at 276 days for this reign. So pretty good last NXT Women's Championship run for Roxy. As again, I'm sure she is just main roster bound here. So it's Tuesday night Roxy for just a little bit longer, but pretty soon it's going to be Monday night or Friday night Roxy. So we'll see what happens for her going forward. But yeah, so our next up we had a vignette with Javon Evans with a wired shut jaw.
This
Um,
was an interesting side of Javon Evans to see, even if it was through having a wired shut jaw. But it did show that spark of intensity that, the bouncy, like, that's not the Javon Evans we got tonight. He
no,
was
no.
intense, he was focused, and I think this could also be what gets him one step closer to the main roster.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, showing a little more depth, a little more intensity. Definitely a good move. So again, that's the idea of these programs. It should raise all the ships here. So this is good. This is good for him, and he, while restricted with his mouth movements, with his wired shut jaw. Um, Great promo. Like this was good. It was like you said, CJ, a very different style promo for him. But he needs to do this. He needs to show this sort of character depth and solid job.
Absolutely.
But all right, so from there, we went into our next match on the card: Fatal Four Way. Stephanie Vaquer, Lola Vice, Cora, Jade, and Kelani Jordan. The winner being the next number one contender for the North American Championship. Solid action throughout the match, but when it was all said and done, standing tall, Stephanie Vaquer standing in line now ahead at the start, the front of the line for Fallon Henley's North American Championship. CJ, you said you had some things to say about this match in particular. What you thinking about it?
Well, just with the idea that Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer were brought in as these, high level main event caliber talent for the women's division. So we're finally seeing the fruits of that with Giulia capturing the women's championship, but I still think it would be a disservice to Fallon Henley to, at the very least, Stephanie Vaquer has to really earn it. Like, they have got to put her through the ringer because Fallon Henley needs to come out of this uh, at least in a place where she can quickly turn it around, because how long has her reign been? Definitely not 200 days.
No. When did she beat Kelani for that? What show was that at that she actually beat her? It's only been a couple of months, right?
Yeah, it was Halloween Havoc.
Halloween Havoc. Yeah, so
So,
not
so
super
end
long.
of October,
Yeah. So
basically a little over 2 months.
yeah. So I I mean, they could absolutely, and there might be a little bit of a wrench in her getting that shot. We'll talk about that vignette later, but they could drag it out. I mean, with Fallon Henley's association with Fatal Influence, there could be some chicanery in their first bout where they can kind of stretch the program out, but I think they're going to be hard pressed to not have Fallon Henley drop this title to Stephanie Vaquer by the end of this feud.
It feels like they need to start capitalizing on these. I'm assuming big money for NXT anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Contracts. So I'm just trying to figure out if it is going to be now or if it's just setting her up for, okay, you're going to lose one and then you're going to win.
Right.
Because it could wind up just being, a quick DQ win
Right.
because Fatal Influence gets involved, and then, oh, it's going to be no DQ, or Fatal Influence is banned from ringside,
Right.
1-on-1, and Stephanie wins.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a little paint by numbers, but there's nothing wrong with that. Booking 101 is a perfectly fine way to go with these programs.
Oh, yeah.
It works. But yeah, it's definitely a feasible direction for them to go with that.
The one thing about the right at the start of the match, well, before the start of the match, no TV entrances for Cora or Kelani.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, it was this match that they um, showed the all Kalani montage. The "We will be right back," and it was just Kalani.
They were
And
trying to make
then
up
we
for
come, yeah, then we come back, and the match ends with Kalani getting pinned.
it. It wasn't Kalani's night tonight.
No,
I thought it was odd that there were that only Lola and Stephanie got entrances on TV. That was I don't know if I want to say it's telling necessarily, but maybe it is.
telling of what specifically with Lola Vice.
Well, I mean, she got an entrance on TV, so like, do they have a little bit more? Are they feeling more strongly about Stephanie and Lola than they are Cora and Kalani? I mean, Cora, we kind of figured was main roster bound sooner rather than later, but I don't know. I have a hard time getting a beat on like where they're at with Kalani in terms of like how management feels about her and like her position on the card and everything.
How long was her reign? 140 days. So we are still a good, if my math's not off, 80-ish days between Fallon and Kalani. So even as far as length goes between the two champions, she's still got a ways to go.
Right.
I
I don't
don't
know.
know defenses though.
I mean, there were a couple. She had a couple good matches in there. Like the one with Sol Rook is the one that really stands out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but trotting on here. We had a backstage segment. Ava officially giving Unholy Union a chance to be the number one contenders for the women's tag titles. They will be taking on Meta-4. Well, I mean, not the entirety of Meta-4. That'd be wild. But Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Oba Femi approached Ava here and said that no. Eddy Thorpe was attacked. It was me.
Which, I mean, good on him for being honest. And
Second Shane.
yeah, he's like, yeah, no, straight up, it was me. Um, I I think it really set the tone for the lengths Oba was going to be willing to go to get the victory tonight. Whether he did or not will
Well,
be remain to be seen or discussed. Rather,
truthfully, like this is something I meant to bring up last week, maybe the week before, but if I were Oba Femi, and I get that like Oba is, he's too badass to be phased by things, but this match should have been a one-on-one match anyway. Eddy Thorpe didn't really have business being here. Oba Femi, winning the Iron Survivor, that grants him a one-on-one match for the championship.
I
Like,
had it written in my notes for that match. Eddy Thorpe. Not sure Eddy Thorpe needed to be there, to be honest.
no, and he barely was, and we'll talk about that a little bit later here in the show. But yeah, so that was wild. That he says, "No, I did it." He had it coming. Is what it is. What are you gonna do, Ava? Yeah, so badass is Oba Femi. They showed Triple H and Nick Khan hanging out in the audience tonight. So Papa H down there. Yeah, look at that. Of course he's there. So Triple H, present last night. Obviously, there wasn't a giant curtain around him tonight, though, so less of a
Tried to
grand.
get an NXT chant going.
Didn't look like it worked for him.
Yeah,
He tried
not
though.
100% sure.
He tried. Um, after that, in the progressive focus, I always like to mention that that's what it is. We had a OTM recap here about them becoming the number one contenders, and them talking about that they are coming for Fraxium and those championships. So we'll see. We'll see if OTM can be the ones to take down Fraxium.
I gotta say, this was the kind of first moment that OTM on their own has stood out to me in a positive way. Like, this was the thing where I'm like, I can get invested in this. Like, they even acknowledged in this promo that they had a slow start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is um like the best case scenario for OTM.
Yeah. Yeah, they might actually be on a good position track here. But time, as always, will tell.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Next up on the card, we had
Oh
Fatal.
wait, sorry. Before, just real quick here, before we move on, talking about talent that are moving up potentially. Do you think Fraxium is also main roster bound?
Possibly. And if it lets me see them work some matches with the Motor City Machine Guns, then yeah, let's do it.
Oh man,
That's what I want to see.
I
That's what I want.
I just
That's
had a
my hope.
shot down my spine. I am ready for it.
Yeah, that was on my 2025 wish list for WWE. On the card next we had Fatal Influence taking on Shotzi, Gigi Dolan, and Tatum Paxley in a 6-woman tag action. Pretty fun match here. Nothing too wild. The faces end up winning when Shotzi pins Fallon Henley. I kind of figured when that happened that would maybe position Shotzi to get a future shot at the North American title, and we'll talk about that a little bit later because Shotzi feels the same way, as it turns out. What you think of this match tonight, CJ?
I thought, in particular, like, even just getting to a brawling start, like, that really set the tone for this match as well. I loved that. The match itself was great. I was very sports entertained. And to that point of getting the implication of North American contendership. Like, uh, the whole point of that fatal four-way match is now thrown into question, and
Mhm.
that is what I would consider awesome booking. Like, that's really the danger you run when you have champions in non-title matches.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is good. It's compelling, and we talk about, especially with the women's division, how there are so many moving pieces and parts because it's such a deep roster. Um, you kind of have to book this way, and it's smart, and they do a good job with it, and it's clever without insisting on itself too much, and that's a hard line to walk. And bravo, Sean, bravo.
Absolutely.
Um, but all right. So from there into the backstage area, we had Ava pulling Ethan Page in to reprimand him for his brutal attack on Javon Evans, and she was probably also going to reprimand him for his brutal attack on Cedric Alexander. But The Rock walked into frame, and yeah, this was I thought, a really solid back and forth and interaction between Ethan Page and The Rock. I I got to give some credit to Ethan Page because you see a lot of folks interact with The Rock in segments like this. Generally, when The Rock appears anywhere on any of the shows, if he's not involved in a feud or story himself, he's going to have kind of these little one-off interactions with someone. And usually, the person he has the interaction with, yeah, they got to interact with The Rock, but they don't look great for it 90% of the time. It's usually them, getting dunked on or beat up or just made fun of, run down, whatever. And
Heath
I,
Slater.
yeah, right. And I felt like The Rock kind of leaned into Ethan, not like verbally, like tearing into him, but like kind of physically into him, kind of pushing just a little bit. And Ethan Page didn't budge. And I really felt like you could feel that here. And Ethan Page deserves every second of television time he gets. He's absolutely fantastic at what he does. And I think that you can say that he held his own on screen with The Rock tonight. And that's saying a lot. And that's not something you can say of every single personality, or really a lot of personalities in professional wrestling. We'll get into the rest of the segment here after this. But CJ, what did you think about Ethan Page's interaction with Dwayne The Rock Johnson tonight?
I thought they had amazing chemistry. Just being able to go toe to toe, and Ethan Page is a guy who is really quick on his feet. So
Mhm.
being able to kind of trade one-liners with The Rock, even if it was scripted, it came off very naturally.
It felt
So
real.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah. And I laughed my ass off when Ethan Page goes to leave and The Rock smacks his ass on the way out. Get your sweet ass on out of here.
Sexual, that is sexual harassment from a member of the board.
That is grounds for termination if I've ever heard. Yeah, it's not like we're broadcasting this live and on demand. Oh, right. Sorry. So I'm
Protected.
delusional right now.
Yeah.
Don't worry
Oh
about
yeah.
it.
Told him to get his sweet ass out of there and slapped him as he went out. But yeah, great interaction there. And then a little bit of fun here, father and daughter. As Ava is giving the NXT newcomer some tips and pointers as to how to handle being in front of an NXT crowd. And this was where The Rock said "fuck." By the way, he did say "fuck." He said, "I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say." On the
Well,
CW fucking network.
his first F bomb of the night.
Yeah, so Rock was he's on the board. What are they going to do to him, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's really why they pushed like, okay, it's like 9:59 before we hit 9:01, like really taking advantage of that.
Right.
We still got off at 9 kind of thing. But I gotta say, as much as she still has room to improve, Ava has come leaps and bounds
Mhm.
with her on-screen delivery of her lines. Like they're still overly scripted, but it's all sounding and becoming like a lot more natural
Mhm.
with her delivery. So props to her for continuing to improve.
Yeah, she's made great progress this year. Obviously they're not going to get rid of her, so it's good that she is improving because I think she's going to be there whether or not she does improve. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah, good luck
best time
firing the
to go.
boss's daughter, eh?
Yeah, no, and Rock made it clear that when it comes to NXT, she is the final boss. He's the final boss, but it was she has improved. Like I said, was saying the acting coach they got for her, whatever they're doing, it's helping for sure.
100%.
Yeah. But all right, so the next match and the next title match we had tonight: Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey for the Heritage Cup, a sudden death Heritage Cup. So a match. It was a match then.
Yep. Which I mean is good. I actually think it kind of spices up the Heritage Cup format
Hmm.
every now and then. It would be like if um, they still had the NXT UK Championship and the champion decided to have a British rounds match to defend it.
Right.
Wouldn't like it'd be a nice every once in a while
A
kind of
little
thing.
change of pace.
Yeah, just to
Well, and
spice it up.
obviously it fit for the story that had been going on with uh, Lexis winning the Heritage Cup via disqualification, and Ava saying, "Nah, we really can't do that, so we're going back to Charlie." But next week, and yeah, so it was a solid match actually. I thought both guys looked really good here. Charlie always looks great. Lexis is really starting to make some progress here, both with I think the character work and what he's doing in the ring, and he wins the match by pinfall. By pinfall tonight. Uh pins Charlie Dempsey and wins the Heritage Cup. CJ, what did you think of the match here tonight and Lexis King winning it via pinfall as opposed to disqualification?
Well, this was a great match for sure. But again, we've seen these uh, great matches out of Charlie Dempsey for essentially his entire NXT run, and we know what we're getting out of Lexis King, like the talent that he has, being able to work with someone as talented as Charlie Dempsey. That just means we're getting a hell of a match. Um, I I'm so glad that he found his way to
Mm-hmm.
get over. Like, I don't know if it was specifically that he was a heel and his character just needed that retribution in order to really get over as a face,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean it's worked. Like, I was genuinely looking forward to him succeeding when he arrived, and I felt so gutted up until this recent uh, run as a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a slow start too, for sure, with this kind of redemption arc that he's been going through. But it's good. It's good, and we'll see what he does as Heritage Cup champion. And what's next for Charlie Dempsey and the No Quarter Catch crew as well.
Well, I mean, if they decide that they want to go after the North American Championship, I think that would be
Hmm.
a good step forward. I think for any member of the NQCC. Um, do you see Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights going after tag gold?
Yeah, I do. I think they're going to keep them slotted in the tag division and still have Charlie kind of pursue the singles portion. For the men, obviously, as Ren would be doing that for the women. But yeah, I do. I think they're going to have them. We'll see what they do with OTM and Fraxium. If OTM doesn't beat Fraxium for the titles, I think No Quarter Catch Crew would be a good candidate to take those belts. Fraxium has to lose eventually.
Oh, for sure. And whether they make it to the main roster right away, or hey, maybe they do end up turning on each other after all, and we see that program continue for the next however long till Stand and Deliver. God, could you imagine that? I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Oh man, but CJ, man, anything else on Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey here tonight?
I'm looking forward to seeing what Lexis King does as Heritage Cup champion, mainly because I want to see how they configure the cup into his ring entrance where he's in the sliding chair.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
they're gonna have to fasten it on there somehow, but you have to do it in a way that still makes Lexis King look badass.
right. You can't have it look clunky. He's the rock star, the television star, as Booker T used to call him when he was
And
at
nothing says rock star like holding a giant metal cup.
Hey, it depends what it's filled with.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, that's what determines the rock starredness of it.
This particular cup is filled with British excellence and heritage.
There you go. It took him a while to get the pasta sauce out of it after Tony D.
You said it, not me.
Yeah, hey, they called it the Italian Heritage Cup. Well, he called it that a couple times on air, so I feel justified in that. But at least, and that's the thing. Like at least they didn't have him like eating out of it or anything. I feel like that would have happened like 10 years ago, but no, not now. We're higher class than that on NXT nowadays, or in WWE.
Yes, we are.
But from there, backstage, we had Ava talking to Stephanie Vaquer about being number one contender for the North American Championship. Fallon Hennig was there as well. And that's when Shotzi approached and was like, hey, I pinned Fallon earlier, and I think I should be number one contender. So now we're going to get Shotzi taking on Stephanie next week to determine number one contender. If I'm Stephanie Vaquer, I'm not happy about this. I won a fatal four-way. I outlasted, beat, vanquished, conquered 3 other women, and I got to go one more now. Really, Ava? This is why Eddy Thorpe doesn't like you.
This is why, people snap and change, turn heel. This is the kind of, I like that this is still like the narrative flow of I had it and then I lost it. Sorry. Go ahead, Tyler, you say something.
No, it's Eddy Thorpe's heel turn was predicated on him feeling ignored by Ava. And maybe that's going to be kind of a thing. Maybe this is like a long-term kind of, character thing they're doing with Ava, where she's going to just repeatedly piss off talent.
Kind of rings of that no confidence vote of Triple H's.
Oh God, I forgot about that angle. Yeah. I mean, kind of like I think this could be something they're doing, where it's just she kind of like keeps making these questionable decisions. Like even putting Eddy Thorpe in that match to begin with. Like she's.
Well, and even the idea that she didn't take Eddy Thorpe seriously tonight when he said he got attacked. Like,
Well, why
I
would
get.
you? After he used that to, bilk his way, through the Iron Survivor match to get a title shot anyway. Like,
But at the same time, you still have to maintain the welfare of your talent and being like, well, still, I'm going to go ahead and book the triple threat anyways. And I mean, we see, spoiler alert, we see, well, not really spoiler because we're talking about it. Fuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're
We
there. We're there.
see most of this match, Eddy Thorpe is in the trainer's room getting evaluated, apparently.
Mhm.
And then we see him come out and he's carrying a steel chair. Again, this is probably closer to 2/3 of the way through the match. It was mostly Trick Williams and Oba Femi who started the match. Eddy Thorpe didn't even get a ring introduction.
Yeah, he just kind of came out and was barely involved. Like you said, probably about a third of the match. Not really, didn't really factor into it very much at all. And yeah, guys,
Because he didn't even take the pin.
no, and that's why we thought he was there. When I did my my little NXT write up today, one of my weekly questions was who will pin Eddy Thorpe, because which I get it, kind of a dick question, but like I thought for sure Eddy was going to take the pin, but no. Trick Williams getting his shoulders on the mat for the 3 as Oba Femi becomes the NXT champion. That's good for Oba, honestly. It's a much bigger exclamation on him winning this title, and what it says about how they feel about him, and, like where they want him to be positioned, how highly they want him to be placed on a pedestal by the fans. He beat Trick Williams, and you can pretty much say he beat Trick one-on-one. It's
More or less, yeah.
yeah.
Because even the effect that Eddy had on the match, he gets introduced to this match by pulling the referee out during a pin attempt, and he basically gets squashed out 30 seconds later.
Mhm.
So Trick takes the pin, and here we are talking about Oba Femi. What is Eddy Thorpe doing?
Well, he's not DJing anymore. They stopped letting him do that on air.
They should let him continue to do that, maybe.
I don't know. Like, I don't think they can just pop right back in because, like, I think him getting, kind of booed now. They'd have to work their way out of that. I think he continues on as some sort of slimy heel.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, as long as he's still the kind of devious that can pull off his "I attacked myself" shenanigans, like I'm still blown away by that. Like that was brilliant. To the writer, whoever came up with that, wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, and this was a great match for Oba. This was, every match is a great match for Oba and a showcase for Oba Femi, but he stands on top of the NXT mountain now, and I'm really, really excited to see what he does with this championship. We got to talk about that really, really kind of cool shot. I dug this. That they did after the match of he and Giulia standing on the entranceway, each holding their titles aloft with the new women's champion and new NXT champion. I thought that was great, and a great just stamp for, again, maybe if there were some new eyes, some extra eyes on the product tonight because they knew The Rock was going to be there, just really driving home, hey, these two people, these are the faces that you're going to see front and center on this program week in and week out going forward. Strap in. It's going to be awesome. Going to be just a fantastic 2025 on the horizon for NXT, and a great start to the year for them for sure.
Well, this was a or rather the first episode of NXT to air on Netflix internationally. So this would be that first real introduction, like you said, to the two most important people in their divisions, respectively. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what 2025 looks like for NXT. I think it's going to be an amazing year for the brand.
Yeah, and it's I wasn't even thinking about the international broadcast on Netflix when you said that, but this was a much more serious presentation for NXT tonight too. There were no comedy spots or skits this evening. It
Other
was
than Booker T.
Booker's just Booker. You can't.
Yeah, but I mean, at what point is that, like, now that we're getting this international audience, are we going to start seeing international negative feedback about Booker T's commentary?
I'm telling you, young people like Booker T. I'm telling you, without question, the teenage demographic likes Booker T. I've heard it from kids in this house. They like the stuff he says. They think it's catchy. They think it's a good tone of voice. He's excited. Like
That
he has an
only
appeal.
bolsters my already fairly negative opinion of quote unquote kids today.
Skibbity toilet Ohio Riz, man. What do you want?
Me and my people, we love Booker T. There's something authentic about Booker T that doesn't come across in the straight-laced Vic Joseph and all the other Michael Cole clones that took the same broadcasting school. Booker T didn't go through those channels.
You have to do an entire show in that voice at some point.
I've been.
What day is April 1st on this year? It's a Tuesday.
They do all have the same cadence. It's the Michael Cole cadence, and it's not like a bad thing. You want straight laced guys, but I don't think you should have two of them. I think that's really boring. I think that's what got Wade Barrett demoted to fucking main event. Joe Tessitore is going to keep his job. He costs more than you. No.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, all right, obviously we're going to have Michael Cole on Raw. Sorry, Joe, we're going to move you immediately after hiring you, but good luck on SmackDown.
He just learned everybody at Raw. Like, he just got used to it. Like, damn.
Max says he's old as shit and he hates Booker T's commentary. I think sometimes we do have to take a second and be like, is it me or are the children wrong? And usually when you ask yourself that question, it's you. I'm not gonna listen to Billie Eilish, but I understand why the kids like her. I think it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just think that it doesn't really serve the wrestler that he's talking about.
I think back to the King and the years of the King, and I mean, ignoring the pervert stuff that didn't age well. I mean, more like his style. Like it was JR's like straight lace, even though he got emotional sometimes. But the King was like color because it's a wrestler who supposedly didn't take the classes, so they kind of want you to be that way. I think you're always gonna get, if you replace Booker T, you'll get another worse one that you're not used to.
Look, I mean, you could say, and people are going to say what they're going to say here. You could say some of the same things that are said about Booker T's commentary. You could say about like Dusty Rhodes on WCW Saturday Night, like a lot of like the over the top. He didn't say Shucky ducky quack quack, but woohoo buckaroo came out of his mouth more than a few times, especially in pertaining to the women. So like there's
Oh god, Mac.
oh, yeah.
yeah, no, I get it. I definitely do, but I mean,
That's Booker T has his audience, but
yeah.
CJ man, before we hop into the jobbers and megastars tonight, was there anything else about tonight's NXT New Year's Evil 2025 that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on?
You know, not so much NXT New Year's Evil. I'm definitely I have more that I want to say about the Netflix experience, but I think I want to talk about that on Sunday instead.
All right, all right. It's a little foreshadowing and preview, guys. So prepare yourself.
Foreshadowing. Because we're finally fucking doing it.
It's happening. It's happening. We had some. I mentioned this last night, but there were some issues with the washing machine.
So we were unable to get together for the debut of CJ and Tyler's weekly wrestling roundup with a W.
Prepare yourselves, y'all. But yeah, all right. So let's get into our jobbers then here of the night for the 7th of January, 2025. Oh man. Oh, that just made it so much better. Oh, that made it so much better. Oh my god. Oh Jesus. Like that was the remix, guys. That was the remix. You heard it here first. My jobber of the night, it's Eddy Thorpe. Like Mister did not factor into it at all. It's Eddy Thorpe. I'm sorry, Eddy, but holy hell, man. You
Yeah.
live out there and then you still got just put down. Like you didn't even have the rally moment. You're a heel. You don't get to have a rally moment anyway. But like you should have just stayed in the back, Chief. You should have just stayed in the back.
And I get, wanting that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm tough enough to make it out to the ring, but then you literally did nothing. Like you got the match a little bit longer. Like I think you added maybe 90 seconds at most to the match effectively. So sorry, dude, jobber material.
Oh, okay. So we meet on Eddy Thorpe.
Indeed we do.
Well, that's going to sling us right into the megastar of the night then. Yeah. Well, CJ, brother, who do you have as your megastar tonight? The first. I need that sound effect as like my morning alarm.
Oh, that would be great. My megastar of the night is Giulia. This match was incredible. So I would say the best possible match to start this episode of NXT, especially given this new international exposure. Congrats to the new women's champ. Definitely interested in seeing what 2025 has in store for the women's division.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I will say too, just talking about that exposure with the new audience again. We had 5 matches on the card tonight, and 3 of them were women's matches. So the majority were women. So I think that was a really good thing for them to illustrate to any new members of the audience. So like, hey, like we have a bit more of a focus on our women's roster here than you might be used to. So buckle in because they're all really great. So enjoy. I had it narrowed down to a couple. Giulia was on my short list, but since you said Giulia, I will go the other route that I had, which is, of course, the ruler, Oba Femi, the new and now current reigning defending NXT champion. I can't say it's been a long time coming for Oba. It has been a very meteoric rise for Oba Femi to get here. Really, I mean, TJ, it's been what, barely more than a calendar year, right?
The breakout tournament was in April? No. Breakout tournament 2024.
I mean, it has to have been within the past year because we covered it on the show when it aired.
Oh, 100%. I vividly remember.
Right, but my point is, like, it has been a very, very short amount of time that he has gone from a completely brand new unknown name to just one of the brightest spots of NXT. And if, other people were still running this company, he would have been on the main roster already. I'm very glad that they are actually having the wherewithal and patience to, give him that extra time to truly finish developing in NXT before taking him up there. And he's going to have a hell of a run with this championship.
It's funny. The reason it took me longer to find the results of the 2024 breakout tournament is because there was no 2024 breakout tournament. It was the 2023 breakout tournament with the finals happening on New Year's Evil, January 2nd, 2024.
Wow. Holy crap. You know what? Shame on Vic Joseph for not saying that tonight.
Well, and I mean, you would really have to dig to know that comparison.
It's their job. It's our job too. We should
true.
own it. But hell of a find on that season. That is so really just a hair shy of a calendar year, but we can basically say a year. New Year's Evil to New Year's Evil. Him winning the breakout tournament and becoming the NXT champion. Can you say that anyone has had a better first year, like going like just accomplishment after accomplishment, accolade after
Gunther.
accolade? Well, in NXT.
Gunther. Yeah, Gunther.
Okay.
His NXT UK career.
Okay, that's all right. That's
yeah.
Okay, that's
like fine. I remember that fact where he has held the championship for something like 86% of his career, and Oba Femi is definitely up in that 80 percentile by now.
Yeah, if he can keep this this pace up, oh man, he'll be a great opponent for Gunther when he's on the main roster. Oh God!
But do you think he needs more big man training in order to reasonably size up against Gunther?
Yes, yeah, I do. And if I can't remember where I heard him say this, but Ivar is working with them, doing like some big man classes down there at NXT.
But do you think they're working?
Yeah, I think so. Like he's obviously Ivar. We've talked about him, at length on these shows. As a big man, he's not the most traditional big man because he moves a lot more acrobatically. But that's modern wrestling. But yeah, I think that Oba still has development to make. He's not 100% main roster ready. He would flourish, I think, on the main roster, and he would feel his way and learn the things he needs to if he would have him up there. But I think it's better to do it this way. I don't know 100% how strong his ring psychology is because most of his opponents, you can make the argument, have the stronger grasp of psychology. So I don't really know where his standing is there. So he definitely has some development, but he's just so good. He's so good. And he's so young.
Is he good, or are his opponents making him look good? I'm sure he's good.
So I'll say this. He and Shrek work really well together, and one of our things about Shrek that we have said a couple times is that Shrek, while he's good, it really takes the other person to elevate him. Which is not a horrible camp to be in. That's something I always said about Batista. That like, while very good, like it took a better ring general to really get him up to that level. And this match was really good. So either Shrek's turning it up, or Oba was a little more responsible for it. But that's kind of a time will tell thing. There needs to be a little more laboratory time before we can fully get the hypothesis functional on that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. The wrestling scientific method. But yeah, guys, hell of a show, hell of a start to the year for NXT tonight. A lot of fun breaking it down, and we've got some pretty good news for you if you enjoyed what you saw and listened to here tonight. We don't just talk about NXT on Tuesday nights. I'd be honest if we did, but we do it if we did. I'd be here regardless. But we are also here every single Monday breaking down Raw, which you were here last night. Obviously, we're here on Tuesday nights talking NXT. Wednesdays are made for AEW Dynamite. Thursdays are TNA Impact. And, of course, Fridays are SmackDown, or Smack Sound, as the modern logo seems to say. And, hey, if you're up really late on Wednesdays, check out the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship program. They go late into the night. It'll be there early for you in the morning with your coffee. Just want to check it out that way. But be sure to check it out regardless of what time of day you do it. And on Sundays, a couple different things. You got the 3NT guys breaking it down and having a good time every week with this is some of the most fun you're going to have listening to wrestling coverage every week, so check them out. And CJ and I will be back at it this Sunday live with the Weekend Wrestling Roundup with a W. Thank you. And John, what's he's just appearing as a quiet EOS webcam utility. But we're going to have a lot of fun on this weekend. Really excited to get back on that. CJ, man, where can the people find you next, sir?
Well, I mean, I try and make it for every NXT, and sometimes I come in for SmackDowns. So who knows? Maybe you'll see me this Friday. Hint, wink, wink, maybe, but probably not.
Is it a better chance of you appearing after SmackDown or The Rock appearing on SmackDown? Which has a better chance?
Honestly, The Rock.
Okay.
Just kind of putting that out there, but hey, never say never. Otherwise, I'm on Twitter at CJCarter22, just living my best life.
Right on. And guys, obviously you can find me here every Tuesday, Monday nights, breaking down Raw. Always having a great time doing it. And give me a follow over on the Facebook at The Pro Wrestling Hipster after you follow Dirt Sheet Radio on all social media platforms. And this is little Molly Holly here, always having a good time. Guys, thank you so very much for tuning in live. We'll be back tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Have a good one.